Move over, Food Wars. There's a new cooking anime in town, and this dish is irresistibly delectable. Hey guys, the Black Critic Guy, and I'm here today to review the anime Sweetness and Lightning. Now, Sweetness and Lightning follows Kohei Inuzuka, a single father and teacher raising his young daughter Sumagi after the sudden and tragic death of his wife. And since he's always busy with work all the time and isn't much of a cook himself, as his wife was the one that usually did all the cooking at home, he makes ready-made meals for Sumagi to eat and take to school. Not really the healthiest of options for a growing kid, but I mean, what can you do? Those were the cards that they were dealt. But this all changes after one of his students by the name of Kotori Ida shows up, and together the three of them cook and eat food at Kotori's family's restaurant, and they form this unspoken family dinner ritual. Now, I was introduced to this anime not by a recommendation from a subscriber, but instead indirectly by receiving the first volume of its manga. Thank you so much, Loot Anime. And I decided to read this while I was at work one day, and I gotta tell you guys, I fell in love with it instantly. I loved its charm, I loved its sweetness, I loved the characters, I loved their interactions. It was just everything that I wanted to see. It's everything that I loved about Useki Drop, but done just a bit better. And I got really excited wondering, oh man, if I love the manga this much, I wonder if they made an anime on it. And as luck would have it, they did. They made one last year, and I said, hey, I'm gonna go watch that. And so I did. I finished all 12 episodes finally, and what do I think about Sweetness and Lightning? Let's get into my review, shall we? The biggest praise I can give this anime was that I admired its push for authenticity. From its story of a single father struggling to take care of his daughter after the sudden death of his wife, to the actions and behaviors of their characters, it all felt genuine and real to me. In particular, the daughter Sumagi. No lie, guys. She's the most accurate depiction of a child character I've seen in an anime since Miyazaki's films. I mean, not only is she cheery and whimsical and has that childlike wonderment to her, but she also throws tantrums whenever she's yelled at and scolded, and starts crying whenever she's forced to do something that she doesn't want to do or eat something that she doesn't want to eat. Guess what? That's a kid! After seeing this anime, I'm actually quite surprised that not a lot of anime are able to capture the true essence of a child. So hats off to Sweetness and Lightning for capturing that. And while on the subject, let's discuss the story. Now, it is extremely simplistic, which shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. I mean, after all, it's the story of a father and daughter cooking with a high schooler. Don't expect Death Note anytime soon. And I know a story like this, especially with its repetitive nature, will probably bore most people. But considering my fondness for simple, cute stories, I was completely sucked into it, and I was truly enamored by its charm, its innocence, its sweetness, and its down-to-earth presentation. I liked the story. I also admired how the story wove in all the cooking aspects along with the narrative without making it feel intrusive. It wasn't something that was just thrown in at the last minute and felt completely out of place. No, there was an actual progression to it in the story, and it served a purpose. And I also really liked how they showed us step by step how to make many of the dishes that they make in this anime, which as an avid lover of cooking, I not only found interesting, but I truly appreciated that they went out of the way to show us how to make these delectable dishes for ourselves. The anime not only entertains you, but also educates you. Win-win! The characters here are just lovely. Much like the story, they're charming, simple, and I was hooked on them immediately. Sumagi is one of the cutest and most likable kid characters I've seen in an anime in a very long time, as well as being one of the most realistic. Her bubbly disposition, her constant tantrums and crying episodes, which actually turned to be quite cute and added a lot to her character, her sweet and tender voice, and her childlike wonder were infectious, and they always put me in a good mood. When I was going through Hell Week last week, the one solace that I took away from that week is that when I started watching Sweetness and Lightning and I saw her cute smile, it just brined me up. It brightened my night and made me feel good inside. Kohei and Kotori were also quite wonderful, but what stood out the most about them for me was their sweet, convincing, and dynamic relationship. What I loved so much about it was how surprisingly mature and platonic it was. They didn't go down that cliche romantic comedy route where they have silly misunderstandings or have awkward sexual tension between them. No, they treated it with a lot of care and a lot of respect and just focused on two people connecting with one another. And I love the subtle approach they took with Kotori, who's actually quite a fascinating and rich character who deeply cares for the people around her, most specifically Tsumugi and Kohei. And it's not a love thing, it's a bonding thing. Since she doesn't have many friends in high school, and the one friend that she does have is in another class and she doesn't see her that often, and her mom is always constantly working early mornings and late nights, so she can't really see her that much, she's a very lonely character that yearns to connect with someone. And fortunately, she gets that in the form of Kohei and his daughter. They fill in that emptiness that she's been feeling lately and make her feel complete. In fact, you could almost argue that both the characters, Kohei and Kotori, fill in the emptiness of each other's lives. They complete each other. Kohei provides the attention, the company, and to a certain degree, at least from what I thought the anime was heavily implying, the positive reinforcement of a father-like figure that Kotori always yearned for. And Kotori, in return, provides him with comfortability, a warmth and mothering nature that is missing in both his life and his daughter's life. And they both give each other this warm comfort. They rely on each other. And I gotta say, guys, that is just so touching to see. And again, another anime showing such amazing restraint by not having these two form a romantic relationship. Although, I'd be lying to you if I didn't say that I kind of wanted them to end up together. I don't know if it's old habits die hard, or maybe I just felt like their relationship was that strong, but deep down, I kind of wanted them to hook up, even though what was presented to me was excellent. Deep down in my heart, I was like, God, just make them kind of end up together. I could buy that. I could be okay with that. The voice acting here is solid, as to be expected. But I want to give special praise to the little girl who voices Tsumugi in the anime, Rina Endo. Adding to this anime's push for authenticity, they actually got a 10-year-old girl at the time of recording the anime to voice Tsumugi instead of hiring a young woman to do a super cutesy voice. And I won't lie, at first it was a bit weird hearing that, as I'm so used to hearing super cutesy voice for little kid characters. But as it went on, the voice kind of grew on me, especially since the voice actress did a splendid job voicing her character. She truly captured and nailed the eccentric nature of Tsumugi and did a solid job with a lot of the emotional scenes. Although, I will say she needs to work a little bit more on her fake crying, but overall, her performance was delightful. The animation captures the soft, welcoming, innocent, and sweet feel of the anime, full of bright colors, realistic movements of the characters, especially when Tsumugi is throwing a tantrum, and cute character designs. And the last praise I'll give Sweetness and Lightning is for its 7th episode, which in my opinion is the best episode in the entire anime. It had a fun, yet a little unsettling of a story, a lot of great emotional scenes, especially when Kohei confronts Tsumugi for what she did, and lots of great animation, a lot of colorful animation, especially seeing it from the perspective of Tsumugi when she's traveling. I really like that. Everything about that episode just worked for me. But as much as I'm really fond of Sweetness and Lightning, I cannot deny that it does suffer from a couple of issues. Its biggest one is that it's terribly repetitive. It basically goes like this. Kohei and Tsumugi bond a little, there's some cute scenes with Tsumugi, then Kohei talks with Kotori about a meal that he wants to make for Tsumugi, they cook it, they eat it, the episode ends, rinse and repeat. With Sweetness and Lightning, it's a very straightforward story with not a lot of tension or dilemmas in it. So there's not much excitement that happens in the anime. And I can understand if that would bore a lot of people, as I mentioned previously. The only episode that I could think of that had an ounce of tension and a bit of a dilemma was episode 7. And I think that's why I loved it that much, because there was that ounce of tension and dilemma. There was much more going on in that episode than in any other previous episode. And although I myself was thoroughly entertained by the anime for the most part, I cannot deny that there are some parts of the anime where I did zone out because of how repetitive it got. I said, okay, well, they're talking now, and the Kotari and Kohei talk about a dish that they want to make, and now they're making the dish. I'm sorry. What happened? If there's one lesson that this anime should have learned from cooking, is that they needed to spice their dish up a bit. The supporting characters are nice enough, but mostly pointless. They don't really add much to the anime or to the characters. I will say that Yagi as a character did show a lot of potential, and had the anime kind of fleshed him out a little bit more and given more scenes and interactions with other characters, he could have been a solid supporting character. But at the end of the day, he kind of goes nowhere as a character. He's just a one-dimensional friend for Koei to have, and that's it. I really loathe how this anime, as well as its manga, resorted to that lame cliche of having the mother die of some mysterious disease bullshit so that they could write her out of the anime. It's tired and frustrating to see all the time. Why not either keep her alive so that we could see a little bit more of her, or better yet, why not actually show her before she got sick, get the sickness, and seeing her deal with the sickness so that the audience can form an attachment with her so that when she died, it will actually have an impact on us and it would resonate with us. When you kill her off before the anime even begins, it leaves no impact. How are we gonna care? It doesn't matter to us. I bring this up not only to vent my frustrations of this very repetitive and played out cliche, but also to point out that this character's death is supposed to resonate with the audience because it resonates with the characters. It has an impact on the characters, but because we never got any time with this character to really get attached to her and feel a connection with her, we don't feel the same thing that the characters feel, and it just kind of feels forced. Like we're supposed to care that this woman died, but we never knew the woman. So why should we care? Why not have an entire episode where she's still alive and then she dies at the end of the episode, or maybe even dies in the next episode? That way we can feel exactly what the characters are feeling at that moment. And finally, the anime dropped the ball in some parts when it came to some much needed development, specifically with Kotari. Throughout this anime, they constantly point out the fact that Kotari has a fear of knives. And I thought, because they kept pointing it out to us, that they were going to do something with this and maybe even have like a character arc where she overcomes her fear of knives with the help of Kohei and Tsumugi and starts using knives when they cook. But the thing is, it goes nowhere. They don't use this whatsoever. Whether it be for comedic reasons or even to enrich the characters, they do nothing with it. It's totally wasted. Overall, guys, I'm pretty sure you all know how I feel about this anime. Even with all of its problems, I still really liked watching Sweetness and Lightning. It was such a comfort and a delight to watch, and I do think that it is an anime that is worth watching. Go check it out. But as always, guys, I'm not the end-all be-all opinion when it comes to Sweetness and Lightning. I would love to know what you guys thought about this anime as well. Did you absolutely adore it? Is it one of your favorite cooking anime of all time? Or is it probably boring, dull, you just couldn't get into it? And let me know, 1, what was your favorite dish that was cooked in this anime? And 2, who is the cutest, sweetest little girl character you've seen in an anime? Comment below, let me know, and do stay tuned. There are more videos, more reviews, some top 10 lists coming your way, as well as my review of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Stay tuned for that, it's coming tomorrow. You're gonna really enjoy that. But as always, guys, if you'd like to support the Black Critic Guy just a smidge more, why not donate to my Patreon account? There's a link in the description for that. And if you'd like to send me a fan letter, send it to this P.O. Box right up here. And if you'd like to be a part of the Black Critic crew and not miss out on a single awesome video, please hit that subscribe button below, like this video if you really enjoyed it, and I'm 21 second, the Master Chef known as the Black Critic Guy. Till then, peace YouTube.
Yes.